It's like, you gotta go sit down. You gotta go sit down. You gotta go sit down. So, and on this one,
I worked on my patience, but
he's better. He's much better. But now this time, what the difference was is I was editing this out of basically my house. I took over the guest bedroom, put the edit suite in there, and we started kind of cutting that way. So he would come over every other day, every week, something like that, and I'd just start going through edits. Or he'd say, you don't have this section in here, and I want to see that in there because I think that's good because of this reason. Be like, you know what, I never even thought of that. Okay. So I'd go back in, change stuff, move stuff around. And it worked. It worked much better. It kept me sane because I didn't have him over my shoulder and we didn't come to blows so much. Now, there were certain points where it was like, why isn't that in there? That's great. It's like, it doesn't fit. This is why it doesn't fit. And we'd have the editor, director fights because I kind of step out of the director chair at that point and I kind of sit in the edit chair and he's the director fighting for certain things. And as the editor, I got to say, it doesn't work or it does work. And then if we come to blows on something...
Then there's the producer fight where it's like, that's
yeah.
gonna cost money. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. And then there's one of the other executive producers on the show, is a guy named Scott Mosier. He produced all Kevin's movies. Scott's awesome, and Scott is probably, he's not just a talented editor, but he's something about the story process he's really awesome at. And he's the one who kind of taught me how to edit. Like I'd cut something together, and most people watching, oh, that's good. They'd be like, oh, that's terrible. What are you doing? Don't be an editor. You suck at it. Oh, you're horrible. And then you go, try this. And you do it and you come back and go, all right, that's much better. It's still crap, but it's much better. It's better crap. Try doing this. And that's what the nice thing about editing, or one of the great things about editing, you learn, there's a couple different terms. You have to learn how to cut your arm off. You have to learn how to kill your babies. Because it's really what you have to do. There's going to be things where it's, I love that shot, I love that scene, I love that interview. There are interviews we did for Milius that aren't in there because we couldn't, there's a whole story about Malibu and there was this house there and Margot Kidder rented this house with this other Jennifer Salt. And this house, everybody hung out at and partied at. It was Martin Scorsese, Spielberg, Brian De Palma, and all these guys in the late 60s, and then, just starting their careers. They weren't who they were really yet. Just starting their careers were partying, smoking weed, but all the other guys were just talking about movies. And John would be like, well, we were trying to pick up girls. We were quite successful. You'd interview somebody and go like, John never got a girl. All the guys were in the corner talking about movies. Spielberg, John, Lucas, all these guys, Scorsese, they were all just talking about movies and nerding out about movies and what stories they were going to do. Everybody else was doing blow and smoking weed and partying. These guys are like, so I got this story about aliens and a ship. What do you think? Yeah, and that's exactly what they would do. So I loved this section because I just thought, what other period of time in this town can you take all these guys who all knew each other and hung out with each other and shared ideas and stories and wanted to help each other, and they were all in one central location. And this is kind of where it for these guys began, but we couldn't get anybody to talk about it for a number of reasons. Sometimes they just weren't going to tell those stories. The other guys couldn't remember, man. So it was tough. It was really tough, and that broke my heart not being able to get that in the movie. Steven had footage of it. He's got 8mm footage of John on New Year's Eve shooting a .45 into the ceiling. He's got it. Wouldn't give it to us. But he's got the footage. So it's one of these things where I want to tell that story. It's like,
was great.
Margot, we went to Montana where Margot lives, and she's awesome, and she had so many stories, but she was like, guys, I did a lot of stuff back then, and I really don't remember that much. I knew Sarah, like, oh yeah, John was there, and I remember he talked about his mom a lot. And he'd go surfing and want the girls to watch him, but we never watched him. And that was like the extent of her story. It's like, oh, so there's certain things you want, certain things you're going to get, and that's that whole thing of when you start a documentary, you think you're going to get things, you end up getting other things as well, though, that are kind of great. Anybody else? Go for it.
What are some tips for people going to South by Southwest, like at their first time?
The question is, any tips for somebody going to South by Southwest for the first time? Are you going, I take it you're going for the movies?
Or with the movie.
With the movie?
I'm still not sure, but I'm planning hopefully to go next year for the movie portion and maybe part of the interactive.
It's
Yeah,
all combined.
The crazy thing about South by Southwest now is the interactive has kind of taken over both movie and the music. It's bigger than everything. It's huge. Number one at South by Southwest, be nice to Janet Pearson. If you interview her husband, obviously don't fall asleep in the interview. But be nice to Janet. Make your reservations early. Everything's sold out. There's not enough hotel rooms. It's crazy. The more people you know, social media is massive. Whatever you can do to kind of work your way in South by Southwest, that's the way to do it. It really is. I mean, I'm trying to think of any. You have any tips?
Plenty of water.
Drink plenty of water.
Raincoat.
I mean,
Raincoat.
if you're just going there for the
experience and just kind of watching movies and the interactive stuff, and even if you stay for the music, just literally just have a good time. So soak it all in, and I mean, you'll be invited to a crap load of parties, and just have fun at each and every one. Really make memories. Yeah, that sounds cheesy and cliche, but we've been to South by a couple times. Once we were there to do a panel, believe it or not, on internet webisodes. So can you imagine that? And the last time to premiere Milius, and being there for the premiere of our own movie. It's a different feeling. You're very nervous, and you hope it goes well. And of course, on our premiere night, it was a huge thunderstorm, and it was awesome. But it wasn't. But still, you still have to like look at it and go, hey man, we're at freaking South by. We're having a good time, and we got a documentary here, and people are digging it, and let's just have a good time. And if that means if that means we're gonna get wet from one place to another, it's nothing. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Literally, so if you're just going there for the experience of going to experience the interactive, the movies, watch a bunch of movies. Always really, really good movies. A nice diverse selection of movies from features and documentaries and shorts and stuff like that. Try to get as much as possible. If you're a filmmaker or aspiring filmmaker, we did a luncheon with Robert Rodriguez for the filmmakers only luncheon that he had, and one of the things he told everybody when he was speaking, and I took it to heart, is like, it's not just about networking. It's just about making friends. You're not just going to walk up to someone, what can this guy do for me? How can I benefit from him? No, man, you go there, you make friends. And those friends, it could be someone that you're just going to work together later on. Like, hey, man, I got a project, so-and-so and so-and-so. Maybe we can hook up. And, oh, you're from LA or you're from Melbourne? That's awesome. Let's do something. He goes, you want to know why? Because that's how I met Quentin Tarantino at South by Southwest. Or was it... Sundance, I'm sorry, they met at Sundance, and they just became friends. They're lifelong friends. I'm like those cats. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So he goes, just make friends, socialize, and just get out there and just have fun. He goes, more than anything, just enjoy the experience of being here, because it might not happen again. I don't know if we're going to be, I don't know if we're guaranteed to be there with another movie, so you just kind of try to soak in the moment,
Yeah, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I'm ever going to be on this kind of like, oh, we went to South by and Telluride, Melbourne, we're going to London. Like, I'm not arrogant.
I like that you put them all in the same.
Oh yeah, totally. You kidding me? Beach is awesome. They don't have that Telluride. But I'm not that arrogant to think that anything I ever make is going to be, way more successful or this. Like, I'm enjoying every moment. That's the other thing you have to do with your movie. Enjoy every moment of it, because it's not going to come around often.
I think the biggest thing for me at South by Southwest or any of those sort of festivals or conventions like that is don't go with a rigid agenda. Go roll with it. Don't go with, I have to accomplish these things, I have to see these people, because everything is going to go wrong. You're going to miss connections. You're going to be 15 minutes late to this or 20 minutes late to that, or that person left early. Go and just roll with it. I think it's the best and easiest thing to do for just peace of mind and getting what you really can get the most out of it with.
One more? We have
Sure,
time?
we can take
Just
a
keep going.
question.
I'll just let you tell us.
We're okay. We can take a couple more questions. I have a question.
Well,
Certainly you guys came off a very success. Everything's cool? All right. You came off a tremendous success at South by Southwest. Your film just showed in Telluride. But the big news was that you got distribution for your film. Tell everybody what that means.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Epix, the cable channel that few people have. Some people have, some people don't. But Epix picked up Milius. They're going to start running in early January. We don't have an official date yet. But even if you don't have Epix on your cable outlet or your satellite, you can go to epixhd.com, sign up for Epix, and you don't have to have a credit card. You just have to have an email address, and you can watch all their programming for free. So even though it's not going to be HBO or whatever, Epix is kind of awesome because no matter where you are, you can get it and you can watch it, which we really like. So everybody will have a chance to see it. And then about 90 days after that, it'll go out to iTunes and all the other stuff. And we're doing foreign distribution. Yeah, it's Studio Canal picked it up in London. HBO Latino picked it up for South America. So we're really, really happy and very, very humbled by it.
Well, we're really humbled that we get to show it to this audience here first in Melbourne before it goes out. So we're
Glad you
really
guys
honored
can
that
see
you
it.
guys came. We are ready. If
Thank you
are
guys
ready-
very much. Hope you enjoy it.
And remember, these guys will be available to answer some questions